one.
Hi, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, I've got an awesome Craig Proctor member, Mr. Mike Szakos, formerly from California, kind of still in California, but now in Nashville, Tennessee. Mike, welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Talk to us about why the move after years of being super successful in California. Why make the move to Nashville?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Craig. I really appreciate you having me on here. I owe a lot to you, and my life looks forever different because of you and your system. And Nashville, there's no way we're living in Nashville right now if I hadn't have met you several years ago. So what happened was we were living in California, 2020, March of 2020, COVID happened, shuts the world down, starting with California in the United States, at least. And it was that way for quite a long time. And my wife and I, we have 4 kids, and we were just kind of, it was really hard. Churches were shut down, schools were shut down, our lifestyle was completely shut down, beaches were shut down, and parks and everything. So we were looking for options to see where we could go. And, you think of most real estate agents or real estate business owners, and relocating to a state 2,000 miles away, not knowing anyone, seems kind of insane, right? But since I had been part of the Craig Proctor system for many years, I thought, well, I've been successful in California. We're just north of Los Angeles in Ventura, California, which I still have that office location. I could duplicate this. I can do it. So we went and checked out a couple different states, figured out what felt like home, and came out to Nashville for the first time ever in 2020, December of 2020. Really liked it, put a deposit down on a new home in March of 2021. And we moved out here just this January 2nd, we arrived of 2022 in the Nashville area. We're in Nolensville, which is about 30 miles south, but we service all of Middle Tennessee. And
that does take some courage to pick up not just your family, but your entire business and move to Nashville where you knew nobody. Let's go back to our beginnings. When did you first meet me? And what happened to your business in California at that point?
Sure. It was 2011. I went to a half-day seminar with James McDonald when I was in California, went down to Thousand Oaks, sat there. I was pretty convinced pretty quickly. I said, okay, this seems like this is something interesting. So I went to a super conference shortly after that. I think it was October of 2021 in the Anaheim area. And honestly, after the first day of listening through the super conference, I was like, okay, this is what I've been looking for. I want to expand my business. I have big goals and hopes and dreams, and I want to take this to the next level. I was not getting that from my current broker, any broker in town, any agent in town. Everyone was thinking, if we help, and I won't even put numbers on it, but they were just thinking small, right? They were thinking small. And I saw a totally different thing when I attended your conference of people were thinking big. And I said, hey, I'm a big thinker. I want to hang out with these people. So I did the typical thing. I'll fully admit it. I'll come clean that I nibbled around the edges. I got inspired to that, nibbled around the edges for a couple of years, then took the leap to platinum. That kickstarted my business. At that time, my business was heavily into investors because California was just getting crushed with foreclosures in 2021, 12, 13. And Todd, my first one-on-one with Todd, he just said, okay, where's all your business coming from? Told him I was making pretty decent money, about 500,000, but 90% of my business was coming from one source, one particular investment company that was flipping properties. And he just said, what happens if they go away? And I said, oh, yeah, that got my attention. That got my attention real quick. And I said, I better diversify. I better have other lead sources. So I started building the business, doing what you talk about, working with strangers, basically. And I was off and running. I started catching the amount of business that I was doing with the investors. And then, after a while, the investor relationship kind of folded a little bit just because they're kind of like REO accounts where they're really squeezing you on your commission.
Right.
They're really trying to dictate how you do business. And once I was associated with you and Todd and all the people associated with the Craig Proctor family, I just thought differently. And that's something I get asked a lot, Craig, at conferences, because I go to every single one. I mean, you get so much value out of those. Like, I wouldn't miss them. I'll see you. I just saw you in Florida. I'll see you in California here soon. Then we're going down to Texas for the Your Home Sold Guaranteed conference. But it's not people are always like, what do you, Mike? Well, what do you do? What specifically do you do? And it's not necessarily what you do. You give all sorts of options, and it's stuff that looks very differently at the market and at the real estate industry.
Right.
It's more who you become. The longer I've hung around with you, it's more who you become. You think bigger, you think differently, you start talking about leaving a legacy, you start thinking beyond yourself, you start thinking in a completely different way. And it's really who you become that's the greatest benefit, and hanging around with like-minded people who are cheering you on rather than trying to drag you down. And
I think everyone wants that. Everyone wants to, live to their full potential and create this legacy. But in the beginning, like for most realtors, it's like, how do I just make a living at this, right? How do I, close, 10 or 20 properties? In California, you really built this far beyond yourself. You had a super successful team, which is still running today. And it is a real business. I mean, I want everyone to think about that. So Mike, right now, while we're doing this interview, is in Nashville. He's got a thriving business there, but he also still has his business in California that runs without him. And I want everyone to think about that possibility for you. How many homes could you sell if it really didn't have anything to do with you? How many buyers could you work with? How many listings could you take on if it wasn't solely, depending on you? And I think that was the big breakthrough, Mike, is when you realized, hey, I can leverage myself. I mean, you're married, you got 4 kids, and you're really involved in your kids' sports, right? Like you want to be there as a husband, you want to be there as a father, and you want to be successful. And so doing real estate the traditional way, that's like almost impossible to do, right? Most real estate agents doing it the traditional way, they got lots of time, but they're not making any money, or they're making good money, but they sacrifice everything in their life, all their relationships with their spouse and their kids. And, my observation of you is I think that's what really attracted you to the Craig Proctor system, is you thought, this is my ticket to freedom. That's what we really want. To get freedom, you have to have both the money and the time. So I know that about you. I know, your family and having, not sacrificing today for tomorrow, but living truly today and being able to build this legacy is very important to you.
Yeah, you're spot on, Craig. I'll just touch on that real quick. The first super conference, you had a panel, and that was one of the things one of the panelists talked about. And I said, that's what I want. Because I was trading my life, not just my time, my life, for money. And I was making decent money, but I remember I was sitting on the floor at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping very, very, very little. I was like basically in like this dreamlike state. I was just like around my family, but I was not engaged at all. And I said, that is non-negotiable. At the finish line, when I get to my final day on earth, it is non-negotiable that I don't have a great relationship with my wife and my kids. And I said, right, I've got to change, and I've got to change something right now. And your system presented that opportunity. And that's why I've been around for over 10 years.
Okay, a couple of things I want you to talk about. We talk about this system, and we talk about, the Craig Proctor system gives realtors what they want, which is more money, more time, more freedom. That's why we get into real estate, we want freedom. But how exactly? If you were talking to, an agent that knew nothing about the Craig Proctor system, and they're like, well, isn't he just like, there's lots of real estate coaches out there. There's this coach and that coach. Everyone's a real estate coach. What's so unique or different about the Craig Proctor system?
Well, I would say, just the foundation of it is you've lived it. Like you have done all the stuff you're telling us to do, which I know other coaches don't have that, right? So that's a big foundational. You've been there, you know what it's like. You know what it's like building a business. You know what it's like doing all yourself, hiring your first OSA, hiring your first ISA, hiring the admin team, all that stuff, managing them. So that's a huge advantage of your system there. But what it does is it, like you said, it makes you look at it like a business, not just a job that you're forever going to have. Like, how can you duplicate your efforts? How can you leverage other people? And the fun thing is, it's not like taking advantage of them, but how can you bring other people along on this amazing ride with you? How can you change other people's lives? Not just the clients you're helping, buyers, sellers, investors, but your team. your admin, your ISAs, your OSAs? How can you take other people who are struggling in the real estate industry and show them a bright future? So that's what's really exciting. But you take it step by step of like, okay, this is the first person you're going to hire, right? Then this is the next person you're going to hire, and this is how you're going to duplicate your efforts, and this is how you're going to help serve more people, because everyone has a capacity, right? I mean, how many homes could I sell a year if I traded my whole life for it?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. But if I had a team of 10 or a team of 50 or a team of 100, how many homes could we sell? A heck of a lot more. And even if you don't want to get that big, even if you just partnered up with one person or two people, how much more effective could you be in your local community, serving others and doing a great job? Because the other thing you do is you bring a completely higher level of service to your buyers and sellers and investors. And you show us exactly how to do that with the presentations, with the scripts, just with everything that we learn. We're on coaching calls a couple times a week. The continuing education, it never ends. There's no finish line. You're just constantly evolving and constantly learning more stuff and doing a better job.
Mike, I want to give a shout out to realtors in Nashville, Tennessee, that are watching this right now. If you're a realtor in Nashville, I want you to reach out to Mike and have a conversation about partnering up with him. I want to explain how this deal would work, because it almost sounds like too good to be true, but stick with me here. If you were to partner up with Mike, Mike has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in his education and his coaching with my company. Okay, he spent years learning how to be an expert at direct response marketing. Okay, he spends millions of dollars on marketing, on effective advertising, so much so that he has a steady stream of buyers and sellers that are contacting him. Now, if you were to work with Mike, okay, if you were to partner up with him, here's how this deal would work. Mike takes care of all the marketing. The leads come in. The leads come into inside sales agents. So as an outside sales agent, you would actually just go out on appointments all day long. That's how it would work. Mike would set you up with listing appointments and buyer appointments, and he would coach you up on the presentation. Okay. He spends an enormous amount of time every week with his team to coach them up, to make sure they're skilled. Think of how much money you could make if that was true for you. If you were literally just going from listing appointment to listing appointment to listing appointment, that Mike is setting up for you. You don't have to spend any money on lead generation. You don't have to worry about where the leads come from. You don't have to worry about qualifying or getting hold. No, these appointments are set up for you, and you're coached up with this killer listing presentation and buyer presentation. How much money could you make as a real estate agent if that was true for you? Okay, if everything, I mean, when you get the listing signed, you work with Mike. When you get the listing signed, you don't have to worry about who's taking the picture, who's getting the keys cut, who's installing the key box, who's pounding the sign in the lawn. All of that is done for you. All the administrative stuff. You would be a listing machine. That's the opportunity here. So if that sounds a bit too good to be true, or you're skeptical or whatever, set the skepticism aside. Okay. You folks should have a conversation with Mike about how you could actually net way more money as a realtor, and you could have a great life too. Just like Mike, you could have more money, more time, and more freedom in your life. See, it's not just that Mike has built something that's awesome for his family. Everyone that works with Mike has a better life. Everybody. His administrative team, his inside sales agents, his outside sales agents. That's how business has to work, right? Everybody needs to win. Now, you can see over my shoulder right here, you can see there's a book. I don't know if you guys can read it, but Todd Walters and myself, we wrote a book, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And the book was called The Death of the Traditional Real Estate Agent and the Rise of the Super Profitable Sales Team. Now, you can buy the book on Amazon. But when we wrote the book 6 years ago, the thesis of the book was, going into the future, it's going to be very difficult for the solo agent to compete. That you're either going to have to start your own super profitable sales team, or you're going to have to join someone else's. Mike is providing that opportunity right now. Mike is a licensed Craig Proctor brokerage. You can see behind Mike, you can see it says "Your Home Sold." guaranteed realty in the backdrop. Mike, talk to us a little about the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty brand and why you decided to go in that direction.
Sure. Well, being around you for a while, you have unique selling propositions, USPs, and the biggest one is the guaranteed sale, right? So we guarantee the sale of our clients, which gives them certainty. Sellers are looking for certainty, so are buyers, but sellers are looking for certainty. That's our main focus of who we want to help the majority of the time. And once you launched the Your Home Sold Guaranteed brokerage name, because over time, the brokerage name is having to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Back when you were doing real estate and up until fairly recently, when I even started, you could have your own name as big as you wanted, and the logo of your brokerage was kind of insignificant out of the way. But then the broker started saying, well, hey, what about, we need to get some promotion here too. No one even knows that this great big agent is with us, right? So now it has to be equal size, and sometimes it has to even be bigger. So, it's genius what you did is said, well, what if we call the broker Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty? Because then, sure. I mean, I don't even have to be on the sign, to be honest. It's like, they don't necessarily care about my face and my name. What they care about is certainty, which Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty gives them. And we get tons and tons of calls from that brokerage name. So pretty much as soon as you launched that, I was all in and said, yeah, let's do this. And we switched over in California and started in Nashville just with the Your Home Sold Guaranteed brokerage name.
Yep. And you can Google Nashville real estate. Let me ask everyone watching this right now, what do you think is more powerful? Advertising an agent's name or the key benefit, the thing that sellers want more than anything else? Your Home Sold Guaranteed. That's what they want. They don't want to list their house. They want to get their house sold. And so Your Home Sold Guaranteed unique selling proposition has been a game changer for me in my business. That's how I became the top RE/MAX agent in the world. And I did that many, many years. And we've helped thousands of agents successfully set themselves apart from other agents by making guarantees that other agents do not make. How would agents get a hold of you? If they want to have a conversation with you, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. So they can email me directly at michael@teamszakos.com. You can see my name up there. It's SZAKOS.com. So michael@teamszakos.com, or they can call me at 615-393-3579. And I'd be happy to have a conversation, talk about my journey with you, talk about what we're doing out here in Nashville, how we're growing. I moved out here not knowing anyone, and we just duplicated the system. And now we're going to sell over 50 homes this year. We're not even into our full first year yet in a place that we knew no one because of your systems. And let me go back to that for a second. You asked me like, what, if I'm a struggling agent right now, which I have been in my career as well, like, what do I get? Just listening to you, being associated with you, checking out some of your conferences or whatever. It's like, I'm at a point in my career now where I'm looking for a slightly different thing, right? I want to be around the association, thinking big, leaving a legacy, but going back in time, it's specifics. I had to build on that, right? So you give specific ads of like, run this specific ad, direct response marketing, and you will get leads, handle as many as you can, get as much money as you can, take some of that, set it aside to build your business. And once you have an overflow of business, then add a team member and then duplicate that, get a bunch more going, get an overflow of leads, get an overflow of business, and then have someone else help you. So you don't just jump straight into like, I'm a struggling agent and now I'm going to have 10 people on my team. You build it over time, but it's amazing what you can accomplish, especially having coaching and guidance, and also seeing other people who started where you are and have accomplished great things. And however big you can dream, there's someone in the Craig Proctor system doing that, and everywhere in between. And you can just follow in their footsteps, and it just makes the path that much quicker.
So true. Everything that you want to do in real estate has been done by Mike and thousands of Craig Proctor members. You don't have to really have even a creative bone in your body. All you have to do is show up and copy what the most successful realtors are doing now. And by the way, I do want to give a plug to our upcoming conference in Anaheim, California at the end of September. If you want to check it out, if you go to craigproctorseminar.com, We have a very detailed website. Like you'll see the agenda. You'll understand exactly what makes my training, my conferences different than any other real estate training out there. You'll see who the speakers are, exactly what they're going to be talking about. We even give you a money back guarantee. You can come to the conference. If you're not completely blown away, we'll just give you all your money back. So go to craigproctorseminar.com. You can register right there. We've got an early bird discount. We'll have about 1,000 realtors. We just did one, as Mike mentioned, a few weeks ago in Orlando, Florida. I've been doing these conferences since 1995. Okay, so I've been through all kinds of markets, up markets, down markets, pandemics. We know interest rates are going up. We know the marketplace is changing for you. If you, I've been there, we've done this before. We've been through recessions. If you understand exactly what to do, you can seize an opportunity. A down market is actually a huge opportunity if you know what you're doing. And that's what we're going to be presenting around at this conference is how do I take advantage and expand my market share in a slowing market? So craigproctorseminar.com has all the details. Now we'll post all Mike's information below. And if you want to book a free call with my team and I, here's how this would work. You go to proctorcall.com. So my name, proctorcall.com. You're going to go to Acuity Day Timer. Pick a day and a time that works for you. Now, why do you want to book this appointment? Because we're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about what you're doing right now in your real estate business and why you're doing it that way. Then for free, we will give you some ideas on how we think you should do it that would be better than the way you're currently doing it. And if you agree with us, if you think, well, this sounds interesting, I'd like to be like Mike, I'd like to, expand and grow, and you like the content of the call, you may want to get more information about us coaching with you. Okay. Now, if you don't like what you hear, you just keep doing what you're doing. So there's no downside to having a conversation with me or Mike. That's where all good things start. It's just be open-minded, have a conversation. We'll explain to you, like, here's how this deal works. Here's what we can do for you. Check it out. So you got the conference. You can call Mike, free, no obligation there. You can book a call with my team at proctorcall.com. And again, we'll put all that information below. Now, Mike, you wanted to share a couple of interesting stories in real estate. So give us a few things that has happened during your career.
Yeah. So, what's great is everyone's got their Instagram life, right? Like, oh, the greatest side of things, but that's not true, right? There's hard days. You will have hard days, but pressure makes diamonds. That's I get is the fun part of life, is going through some of those things. Cause again, it's because what you become going through those. And I'm just real quick, I'm really excited about the upcoming market, because when markets shift, like it's probably going to happen here soon, the good agents adapt and quickly seize more market share. And unfortunately, the agents who kind of don't have any guidance or any business plan or anything like that, unfortunately, are the victims of that and kind of fall out of the industry. So I think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity coming up. So I want to tell a quick story. So 2 years ago, in 2018, so 4 years ago, we moved to Ireland for a year. So I had my business in California, and I relocated my entire family to Ireland, the West Coast of Ireland, Sligo, Ireland, a very small town, to show my kids, we always wanted to live abroad, to show them that Southern California bubble isn't how the rest of the world lives. I wanted to give them some perspective. Okay, so there was a bunch of things that went into that. Your guidance, your coaching, people associated with you had done it in the past. Like you said, people have already done this. Just follow in their footsteps. That's exactly what I did. Before that, I was thinking like expanding, like, oh man, moving 30 miles and opening a second office down in LA. That'd be really exciting. I'm like, well, why don't I just go to Ireland and live there for a year and run my business from 5,000 miles away? Okay, so there's all this preparation and planning that goes into it. 2 days before we're leaving, my transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, pretty big part of my admin team. Okay, she's also going to watch my dogs. So I have 2 dogs that I'm leaving behind, German Shepherds, because I can't take them there. Her mom actually called in sick and said she had a seizure. She's at the hospital. What? And I said, oh my gosh. Okay. Like, what can we do? What can we do? And he said, well, we don't know yet. We don't know what's going on. So we're just stressed that whole day, worried about her. Honestly, I was worried about her. A couple hours later, I talked to her mom again. She said she had a lump removed and, she's doing okay. But, keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Right.
I said, oh my gosh. Right. So flash forward to the next day. I say, I'm leaving now in one day. Like, I want to come in and see her. How can I help? What can we do to show our support? So I show up to the hospital and her mom's there. And I'm about to walk into the hospital room and she's like in her early 20s, 23, 24. And I'm thinking,
young. Yeah.
That's not good. Seizure, lump removed, maybe it's cancer or something. I walk in and her mom, right before I'm walking in, says she had a baby. She didn't know she was pregnant and she had a baby.
Wow.
That's what's going on. And I said, wow, congratulations. That's amazing. That's good news. Like, I was like, oh, I'm excited for her. So I walk in, I meet her new son. And, there's a whole bunch of questions. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I'm like, okay, now I got to adapt. So now she's got a whole new journey she's on. She's like a big anchor of my team. What am I going to do? Who's going to pick up the pieces? How are we going to survive this? Who's watching my dogs? I'm leaving tomorrow for Ireland for 11 months to run my business. Like, okay, let's just roll with it and see where this goes. And that's what we did. We just took it day by day, but I felt like I was in a pressure cooker because, I just opened up a whole bunch of different things that were going on with that. But the team stepped up. I had friends and family who watched the dogs and we juggled it, and I successfully ran my business from 5,000 miles away. And we had a great year personally and a great year professionally. So you never know what today is going to throw at you until you live through it, which is, again, exciting thing.
It's so true. Life can certainly change on a dime. We know that. And if you haven't experienced that, just, be aware. Things can change very, very quickly in your life. And that's why you want to have solid systems in place. You want to have your business, in a position where it can withstand some of the things that life is going to throw at you. Like when you lived in Ireland for that year, that was a great test for you.
Yes.
As a business person. It's like, I can't go to the office. I can't be running in there. This whole thing had to be run remotely. Which, if you can run it remotely from Ireland, you can run it remotely during a pandemic.
Right, exactly. And this was 2018. So Zoom, like what we're doing right now, that was not really a thing. So I was running it through phone, through Slack, through text messages, through emails. And I couldn't go on listing appointments. I couldn't go on buyer appointments. Right. I had to have a team and a system. And it was a stress test. Do I have a business or do I have a job? And I realized I have a business. And if I have a business and if I'm a business owner, I can do that from anywhere in the world. And that really opened up amazing opportunities. And there's no way I'm sitting here in Nashville area without that experience, because I proved to myself, I proved to my family, I proved to my team, and I proved to all the naysayers, right, who were like, there's no way you can do this. There's no way it's going to fold. It's going to blow up. Like, because people just can't think that way. They just can't think that that's a possibility. It's been a life changer. And we were just driving to back to school night on Wednesday. To my oldest son is in high school now. And we were just driving and my wife just looks over at me and says, this is the best decision we've ever made, living here.
That's a nice feeling. Yeah.
I looked at her and I laughed and I said, what about us getting married? Like, what about, there's a lot of other big decisions. Like, what do you mean? And she just said, you're on the list. Yeah. I won't tell you exactly where you are on the list and I won't tell how big the list is, but us getting married is on there. But she loves it here. And, it's been life-changing.
Really life is pretty short, and we're kind of like, I don't know, we're born some place in the country, and for a lot of us, we don't experience anywhere else. And they say the average person, is born and they're buried within an hour's drive. But think of all the great places in the world to visit and places that you could live. How many of you would like to be able to operate your business from wherever and live wherever you want? And we're not talking about, going somewhere and sitting on your laptop on the beach. We're talking about truly having a business that works and gives you this life that you want. A lot of you thought that's what real estate was about anyway. I was talking to someone earlier today, Mike, And we were talking about this whole new generation of realtors that get into real estate over the last couple of years. And, they're watching $1 Million Listing and they think, well, that's what real estate's about, right? They think they're going to be hanging out with Josh Altman and, going out to dinners and network partying and driving their Lamborghini around.
Yep.
Real estate is hard. Okay. And you want to get coached up because that's reality TV. That's not real. Okay. What we're talking about here is taking your real estate job and showing you how to do this in a much bigger, better, and more efficient way. And you can build it, as Mike said, as large as you want. Don't be intimidated. Like I have Craig Proctor members who've been with me for years. Some of them make over $1 million a month in GCI. Mike knows them. He knows who so some of you might, hear that and go, I'd never want to make $1 million a month. Well, first of all, I'd say, well, how do you know? Have you done it before? And if you tried it and didn't like it? Because here's what we assume. We assume, at least I used to assume this, that, I was already, kind of killing myself to do 40 transactions a year as a solo agent. Like that was a lot. And so if someone had said to me, well, you could do hundreds of transactions a year, I immediately would have rejected that idea. That would not be an idea I would have been able to accept based on my present paradigm because I was thinking of the way I'm doing it now. And some of you watching this are thinking, well, I could never move to another city and pick it all up and make it work. I could never sell hundreds of homes. Guys, we have agents that are doing what we're talking about right now. And I want you to meet them. I want you to come to the Anaheim conference. And I know there's lots of reasons, airports are busy or whatever. Some of you will do this. Some of you are going to pick up the phone and you're going to call Mike Szakos. And it will change, this conversation will change your life. And that sounds maybe like overreaching, but honestly, if you get to know Mike and you hear his story, or you book a call with us, we will show you a completely different way to set your business up. Now, I promise you this, once you hear this, you can't unhear it. And for those of you coming to the conference, once you see this, you can't unsee it. That's what happened to Mike. He showed up at the conference, the very first one, his eyes were opened and there was no way he was ever going back to how he used to do things. And I'm very proud of Mike and all of our top members. Like Mike said, it's the journey that we're on. It's the people that we become. It's who we become along this journey. And what happens, and I have, the joy of watching this unfold for over 30 years as a coach, watching people grow. And you see they have more confidence. They're happier. They're in better physical condition. Their relationships with their spouse, their children is better. That's what this is all about. This isn't, I will never teach you cold calling, door knocking, sitting in open houses, chasing FSBOs, expired, none of that. We want to show you smart, modern marketing that attracts the best type of buyer or seller for you. We want you to live in abundance. The only way that you're going to grow your real estate business is you have to have an overflow of it. Now, eventually, we're going to show you how to make this work more or less without you. That's what Mike's done. It's like, hey, I can live in Ireland for a year and still sell hundreds of homes. I can move from California to Nashville. And in a couple of years, if Mike decided Nashville wasn't the place for him, he's got the flexibility. He knows how to do it. He did it from Ireland. He's done it from Nashville. His wife, Mike and his wife could decide, I'm going to go somewhere else in a couple of years. They know how to do it. How would you like to be able to live that life? Right? Or maybe you're completely happy where you are and you just want to expand your marketplace. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to learn from people that are successfully doing the thing that you want to do. So we're going to wrap it up here. I want to thank everybody, first of all, for watching this interview. And Mike, I want to thank you. I'm glad that you came into my life. You've been a great ambassador for the Craig Proctor system. You always are willing to help and talk to people. Mike, we often have him on our superstar panels because we feature real estate agents that are actually living the Craig Proctor system. They're out there every day doing it. Mike has been a leader for his business, not only in California, but in Nashville. He's a dedicated husband and father. And if you follow him on social media, you'll see you can't fake that. Mike is out every day doing something with his kids. You'll see it go to Instagram, follow him on social media. This is the real deal. Guys, life is short. I'll end it with this. Life is short. You know it's true. Every once in a while, we lose someone we love, and it shakes us to our core. You know what I'm talking about? It shakes you to core. And I'll tell you why. Because you start to think about your own mortality. You start to think about, we're not here forever. So what are you going to do from here forward? We can't change the past, but what are you going to do going forward to have the best life for you and your family? You see, we can always make more money, but we can't make more time. Once time is gone, it's gone forever. So Mike, I want to thank you for doing this. Any final last words before I wrap it up?
Yeah, I had something like you just said. I got the chills right now because something you just said really hit home. A couple years ago, I worked with a pastor who actually was moving to Tennessee, ironically, before I even had this thought in my head. And he oversaw the last breath of 10 plus thousand people. He worked at a hospital. And he was telling me about that. And I said, you're just around death every day. How do you do that? And he said, well, what I'm doing is I'm building a bridge from the physical world into the spiritual world. And I'm there to be with them, to prepare them for that journey. And that gave him a lot of fulfillment. And I said, any lessons learned from that? And he said, every single person, he's like, I've seen over 10,000 people die in front of me. I've been there, I've held their hand, right, either with family or when they're alone. And he said, every single person, without one exception, talks about what they wish they would have done rather than things they regretted doing. And he said, live your life. He's like, go for it, chase your dreams, do what you want to do, because like you said, time is fleeting. You never know how much more time you have, and make sure you take advantage of every single day. And from that moment on, I already was doing it, but I just took it to a whole nother level. It's like, you just never know. You never know when our journey's over. And I don't want to be regretting what I didn't do. I want to have a big smile on my face and say, damn, I accomplished a lot and I had a great life.
Man, that is so true. How many of you would agree with that when you look back at your life? It's what we regret. We call it the sins of omission.
Yes.
It's not what we did in our life that we regret. It's the things that we didn't do. Okay. The things that we didn't do, the sins of omission. So we'll leave it on that note. I want to thank everybody for watching this interview. I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor. We're here to help you. You can book a call with my team at proctorcall.com. Just my name, proctorcall.com. We're just here to help you. The easiest way for us to prove we can help you is we'll just help you on a free call. Take us up on that. Same thing with Mike. Give him a call. Even if you're not in Nashville, you want to talk to him about his experience with the Craig Proctor system and what he's built. And you can see how he thinks. He's a big thinker. I promise you, if you pick up the phone and you give him a call, you'll have a better understanding of what you can do here in real estate in your business. Our conference is coming up again in Anaheim, California at the end of September. We have discounted rooms. We got an early bird discount price. It's 3 days. If you like this interview is like a half an hour long. You can spend 3 days with myself, Mike, and hundreds of Craig Proctor's superstars that'll be presenting in Anaheim, California. And you can get information on that at craigproctorseminar.com. So Mike, thanks again for doing this, and I look forward to seeing you in Anaheim, California in a few weeks.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Craig. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.